The Space Wolves. 1000 shades of grey, Nordic warriors covered in pelts and runes. I painted 5 different Space Wolf schemes with as many techniques, styles and grey tones as I can put in 5 miniatures. First, I introduce you to the main thing, the armor and the different ways how to approach these. Then we go on with things that are true for every of these paint schemes, as these steps don't really differ from each other. But now let's finally start. The first one is painted with Citadel colors. We approach him with the best tool you can get for €2, a sponge. Seriously, it's a tool I don't want to miss anymore since the results you get with these are just speaking for themselves. First, we lay a base coat of Corvus Black to have a slightly wet base tone that's slightly bluish, because we are going to wet blend it up to a pure Fenrisian grey. After the first layer we do another one with a 50-50 mix of Fenrisian grey and Corvus Black. And if you don't have or want to spend the money on an airbrush yet, it's ridiculously easy to get smooth transitions with these as well. And then a pure layer of Fenrisian grey. By the way, do you call it Fenrisian or Fenrisian? What would you say? The sponge helps us to catch only the most important parts and to leave the very highly detailed recesses untouched, which creates a very smooth finish. I wanted to show this one at the beginning as I think this is the perfect way to approach army painting and a tool that's not used widely enough. For the parts we want to paint yellow, we first lay a slightly pinkish tone, and please be more patient than I was here and make sure that the entire shoulder in this case is covered, so not to have these black parts near the shoulder trim. And after that we are just covering the area with Imperial Fists contrast. And now to a very different approach as we start with the blue painted marine here. I call this one the Chaoskvn Style as this would be my personal approach to the matter. So at first we are covering the entire mini with Abyssal Turquoise, and then we are going to brighten up it with layer by layer of another grey. And the first layer would be Cold Grey by Vallejo. Just make sure to have some of these beautiful Abyssal Turquoise undercoat showing in the shadows. We are going to highlight the parts of the armor that faces towards the outside. So every elbow, arm and outer side of the legs, and especially the shoulders and helmets. We can leave the area near the lower side of the torso and the inside of the legs in a shadowy tone, as this just amplifies the effect. By the way, this statement is true for every of these paint jobs. Keep in mind, I tend to lean towards the war painting or tabletop ready side of painting. I still want to get these minis done and not only have them in big unconquered sprues of plastic. For the parts we want to be in yellow in the end, we start with burnt red. Once that's dry, we are going over to a mid-tone with Parasite brown. And once that's dry, we are going over to sun yellow. And now we are coming to something very different, a white wolf. I got inspired by an Instagram user called Beyond Berserkers, and I thought, that's a really cool way to paint space wolves, so let's do it. We are covering the whole mini with cold grey and then with wolf grey. We pick out each armor panel by themselves and brighten them up. I want to note here that this would work really good with a sponge as well. I also want to make you aware of my Patreon, where you can support me, get access to my Discord server and have a free and easy space to share your progress and hobby without having it to share to the World Wide Web. And while we're on it, I want to thank the newest member, Jared. Thank you for the support, man. And for the yellow, we are actually using the same approach as before, going from burnt red to parasite brown up to sun yellow. And now the next one. This one is called the Battledamaged. We once again cover the whole mini, but this time with cold grey. We highlight the mini assuming the light would come from top down with wolf grey. Just stipple on every armor panel that would catch the light and is visible when you look at it from above. We don't need to be especially neat here, as we are going to shade all over the mini anyway. And for the shoulder, we are just giving him a very lazy coat of sun yellow. And for the last one, we are going to paint a dark wolf or Horus Heresy style wolf. We start this one very similarly to the second one, but we are going a different path this time. Give this one a base coat of Abyssal Turquoise and dry brush all over it with cold grey. We take out a smaller brush to really smoothen up the edges of this one. Aim for the parts like the chest and upper part of the shoulder trim, as well as the highest points of the arms and power pack. Once we are done with our preferred way to paint the armor, we are going to darken down the joints of the armor as well as the bolter with Black Legion contrast. I also gave the chapter marking on the left shoulder a coat, since I didn't know which color to paint these yet. After that, I painted all the leathers and straps with dark rust. One could also use dried bark if you want to stick to the Citadel color palette. Their skull-like face mask got a coat of pure white. I know it's only these minis who have these face masks, but I thought I'd include it anyway. Coming to the metallics, we start with giving them a coat of my favorite gold, Pro Acryl's Bronze. I know. Just pick out the luckily very few parts and cover them with said color. For the silvery parts, I'd say use the silver you like. In my case, this is Pro Acryl Bright Silver, but since Space Marines don't really have that many parts that are going to be silver anyway, it is just an additive and not a focus point of the miniature. And now we are coming to the shading part. And that's why we see the Battle Björn again, because we dull this one down to the core with a mix of Vallejo's Game Wash Black and Sepia. Once again, if you want to stick to the Citadel color palette, I'd say you use Nun Oil and Seraphim Sepia. But I gotta say, my personal recommendation would be watering down Black Legion Contrast until you have a shade-like consistency, instead of Nun Oil. Once you covered the whole mini, just pick out the ugliest and biggest of poolings, so not to have these so-called coffee stains on him. And since we only want to have the dirt in the recesses of the armor, we take out a sponge again and brighten up all the raised parts where the light would touch the mini from top down. For the yellow parts, we just stipple on some of sun yellow to get it to the former brightness, but try not to cover the entire part. And now we come to the most defining part of this paint job, the battle scars and damage. We pick out some parts of the armor, especially the ones that are on the edges of the armor parts, and randomly slap on some browns. Use the brown you like, but I would recommend using a dark one, because we want to represent something that represents chipping. Once I was done and the first layer was dry, I gave every of these points a very small hint of silver to indicate that the armor is chipped to the core of the metal. And for the skin I use my trusted recipe of a purple, Bugmans Glow and Elfic flesh. I will drop a more in-depth video about flesh tones very soon, painting a Skaven Brute Terror. And sometime later this year I will paint a bust showing the full process on camera. Or maybe even doing a live stream, I don't know yet. But today the main thing for painting faces is actually to paint them upside down. Or in other ways to say it, from the chin up to the forehead. I know this sounds strange and it also feels strange to be honest, but the way Games Workshop designs their faces, this somehow always works. At least for me, and I thought I'd give this experience on to you. The natural shape of the face allows the paint only to be catched by the most raised parts like the cheekbones, nose and forehead. I figured that Space Wolves need some freehands and went for their iconic triangle-like or stylized teeth. I don't really know what this is. So if you have a little more in-depth knowledge about this, feel free to enlighten me. I can easily see all of these together in one battle force, maybe having the more elite ones being in a brighter tone and the more recruit ones in a darker tone, or just the other way around like it would be with real wolves. You could also paint some runes with a very fine brush that has a good tip. I just looked some easy ones up on the internet and imagined some myself. The main thing to keep in mind here is that these Nordic runes are mostly straight lines, so try not to have any curves or round shapes. And now we are coming to the eyes. I thought I'd give you an easy recipe on red and blue ones, as I think these are the main ones to keep in mind for painting Space Wolves. For the red ones I used Khorne Red, Evil Sun Scarlet and Wildrider Red. At first we are covering the broader area of the eye lenses to indicate something like a glow effect. I personally like it when Space Marines have glowing eyes because it looks cool and it's way easier to paint. It's pretty easy. The closer you get to the inside of the eye lens, the brighter you get. In this way you create a very easy and readable glow effect. We are going to paint the blue eyes in the same manner, but this time using Abyssal Turquoise and Baharrot Blue. Once again, just cover the broader area with the darker color and the inner lens with the brighter one. And if you like content like this, I would love to encourage you to leave a like or a subscription. But I am afraid that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and we are going to see each other in the next one.